Welcome back to another episode of Iron Talons Engineering. Now in this one, a bit excited about it, we're going to be getting all the front subframe put back together, put back on the cart, ready for the engine. I've just got the front subframe and the lower arms back from Mastercoat, Blasters and Powder Coaters in Norwich. They are the only Blasters and Powder Coaters that I've encountered in all my years doing all of this automotive shit that have actually been reliable and on time and good work ethic and good final product. So use them if you can. We've got the front wishbones, the top wishbones over there, they're all painted and polybushed. I made the polybushes for them earlier this week. I didn't film it, but I'll be showing you how I make the polybushes for the lower arms in a little bit of this video a bit later on. These are also the modified lower arms that I made. I will show you that in a bit as well. Where the hubs are all painted, the steering rack's all rebuilt and painted. The anti-roll bar's ready. I've got adjustable drop links. I think I've got all the bushes ready for it. I've got poly bushes for the front subframe from Strongflex. I've got the poly bushes for the steering rack from Pro Sport, I think it is. So yeah, we're going to install all of that and I'll be showing you guys everything along the way. So let's just crack on with it, shall we? And there we go guys, front subframe is now all out. It's quite easy to take out. The only things you need to do are undo the hard lines on the brakes, which could be hard depending on if you've touched them in the past. These ones luckily I'd already fucked up, so I'd replaced all the lines already, so they're easy to get out. So you take them out, make sure you disconnect the alternator cable if that's cable tied to your anti-roll bar, like mine was. You undo the anti-roll bar mounts there, which connect to chassis, undo the top mounts, and then you take 2 nuts and 1 bolt out of each side of the subframe, and the whole thing should just drop down. Make sure you've got a jack underneath it, if not, well, you might be going to A&E. One thing I will suggest as well is, if you've got it up like I have high on these axle stands, because I'm going to treat the underside, make sure that you put wood under the rear wheels, because if not, you've got all that weight in the back of the car and no weight in the front. And like what mine done, it's not even on the front axle stands anymore, it's just on the rear, it's just pivoted completely. So yeah, just make sure that you do that. So now we're going to get around to stripping this all down, sending the subframe and the bottom wishbones out for blast and powder coating, and yeah, we'll start upgrading it and go back in the car. Okay, so subframe's now all apart. We've got the lower wishbones off, higher wishbones off, coilovers off, anti-roll bar off, steering rack off, everything is off. What we've got to do now is we've got to clean the subframe down, get it completely degreased, because apparently the blasters now won't take it if it's got grease, and this is covered in grease and oil. So we've got to degrease that and get that ready. I've got a pair of lower wishbones over there that I modified years and years ago from more clearance, which I'll show you in a minute. But the one problem that I had, which you might have as well if you're doing this, is these camber bolts holding the lower wishbones on. Basically you've got like a small camber system, they're just eccentric bolts with a slot there and these big washers on them. The idea is that they go in there, and then when you turn them, they basically cam the arms, so you can go further in, further out. You got adjustment. The problem is though, these C's in the sleeves of the arms themselves, and they will not come out for love nor money. You can heat them up, you can bash them back, it'll just end up bending the bits on the subframe rather than actually coming out. So this is the one surviving one that I have. The other 3 I had to cut. Now, these bolts are normally fucking expensive from Toyota, but I make these myself. I normally take like a high tensile bolt anyway and just mill a flat all the way down it so that it fits on the washer and works the same way. So we're going to have to do that as well. Now we're going to start on the lower arms. Now, like I said, these are the lower arms that I made myself. In the original arms, they come across like this. But if you put larger wheels on it and put more steering lock on it, they start to rub on the lower arms. So I milled out this and then I braced it and welded it all up. So I've had these for years, but I've never done anything with them. So I thought I'd give them a go this time. So the things we've now got to do for this, we've got to turn up the poly bushers for the end of the arms, basically. I'll be showing you how to do that in a bit. This is basically what you get bar form of polyurethane from somewhere like Direct Plastics. It's not that expensive, to be fair, for a 300mm length of it. It's exactly the same like shore rating and stuff like that as you would have with strong flex bushers and things like that. It's just in its raw bar form. Now, it's basically rubber, guys. So if you're trying to turn it and stuff, what you need is something like this. It's a piece of HSS that I've sharpened up. And it needs to be incredibly sharp to cut this, and even when it is incredibly sharp, this material does not like to be turned or drilled. It tears. That's what it does. It likes to tear. It's like a tire. You'll notice if you start turning it yourself, it will tear like an old tire, but you can get it within very close tolerances, to be fair, which is what I've been doing when I have made all of these bushers. You can't hold it really in a chuck with like free jaw, hard jaws. You need like a collet like this, split collet, to be able to grip it properly. But I'll be showing you at work a little bit later tonight how I turn this into bushers that look like that. These are ones that I done earlier in the week, but I've done them on all my cars now, and they've all been great. They've all worked out fine. So these are poly bushers I got for the front subframe. They're from Strongflex. I've used them for front and rear subframes. They seem to be one of the best that I can get for the money. Basically, you get this piece here, the sleeve what goes inside, and then the washers for the top and the bottom, and some fitting grease. Now, the way these get fitted, as you'll see, is this part goes straight in like that. That part is on the top, and you put the sleeve straight through the middle, and then when you bolt it up to the car, you've got to make sure that obviously the small washer goes on the top in between the car and the subframe, and the large washer goes on the bottom. Poly bushers are now in on the subframe. These are the poly bushers that we got for the steering rack. They're Super Pro, not Pro Sport, like I said before. But essentially what will happen is, you'll see one will go about here and one will go here, and then it'll bolt to here on the subframe. Got the top arms on, steering rack on, all the grommets and stuff back in, the poly bushers on the actual subframe itself. Lower arms will be going on tomorrow. Like I say, I've got to turn the bushers up for that. But we're going to do this now. Now, these hubs that I got, these are the standard super hubs, but the problem is that when I put the new wheels on, because they are a lot larger, the studs weren't long enough. So this is a standard stud, and these are lengthier ones. So we're going to be putting them in them. Right, that was a fucking ball ache, and as you can tell, I didn't get it done at home. I got it done at work because I didn't have a table
which would take this amount of abuse, and I also didn't have this massive old bit of pipe which is able to fit these side studs in it without them making contact with the table. So they're all now done, hubs can go back on. We've got the ball joints connected to the lower arms, and I turned all the poly bushes up for that. I know I said I was going to show you how to do it, but if I'm honest with you, I got into work and just thought I'll crack on. So they're all done. Like you saw, the new studs are now in the hub, so let's get about putting it all back together. Now these are the eccentric camber bolts that Toyota give you for the bottom wishbones. Now basically what they are is they're M16 bolt with a flat on it, and then a splined head with this cam washer on it. So the idea is when you rotate the bolt, it moves the arm in and out just like that, and this washer here goes on that one. And then the problem with these though is, because they're so old, they get seized in the arms, so they have to get cut out. That's the only original one that I had left, so I had to make these. These are still M16 high tensile bolts. I milled a flat in them, and they fit the original washers. The only difference is this head has been welded on there because it isn't splined. So you might encounter this yourself if you have trouble removing these wishbones.
Eventually.
And there we go, front subframe's now all back in. As you saw, it was a bit of a nightmare because of how unevenly balanced it is at times. So I had to make this, just something simple like this, so that it'd go across the front strut mount bit and on the back as well, and then you could jack it up more centrally in the middle. But doing it on your own is not exactly the ideal task. You want to try and do it with a friend, but Billy No Mates here lives miles away from anyone else, so I had to do it on my own. But yeah, calipers are now all painted as well. Everything's near enough back in the bay. We've just got a couple more bits and pieces to do. We've got to track the front steering up, and then we can put the wheels back on, and then we can get it back on the floor ready for the engine to go in. So I've got a couple of mates coming around to help me put my engine back in so I don't ruin the paint in the bay, but that's going to be on the next episode. So that's the end of this episode, guys. So cheers for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck with your own projects, and I'll see you again soon.